Have you ever wondered why some people move through life like water, calm, unstoppable, almost untouchable? While the rest of us stumble, distracted by every fleeting thought, every minor discomfort, every whisper of fear. Imagine a monk, sitting alone before dawn, the first light spilling across the temple's courtyard, a thin mist hovering. He does not rush, he does not fret, he does not answer the phone or check his messages. He does something far more difficult, far more subtle than most of us can even imagine. He practices absolute discipline, but not the kind forced by guilt or shame. He has mastered the quiet art of controlling his mind and, through it, his life. Today, I want to show you a monk's discipline trick that most people can't do, and why it can change everything for you if you dare to try it. Discipline is a word that scares most people. It evokes visions of strict schedules, cold mornings, endless lists of shoulds and musts. But the discipline I'm talking about is neither rigid nor punishing. It's like a sculptor approaching a block of marble, seeing the form hidden within, patiently with reverence, knowing that each careful stroke reveals more of the masterpiece. The monk's trick is not about forcing yourself to run, to meditate, to wake up at 4 a.m. It's about creating a mental structure so strong that you don't even have to think about the right choices. They flow from you like a river finding its course. Most people fail at discipline because they try to fight themselves. They battle distraction with willpower, which is exhausting. They try to suppress desire, which is futile. They measure success with outcomes which are unstable. The monk's trick flips this on its head. He doesn't battle his mind, he trains it like a loyal companion. He doesn't focus on what he must do, but on the clarity of the present moment, the single step in front of him. And here is the core of it. He isolates a single, simple action that defines his day, and he commits to it with absolute fidelity. Just one, nothing more, nothing less. It might be waking up before the sun, it might be sitting in silence for 10 minutes. It might be writing a single line in a journal. Whatever it is, it becomes the anchor for everything else. If he succeeds at this one thing, he has already won the day. If he fails, the day is lost, and he observes this fact without judgment, simply noting it like a scientist studying a phenomenon. Now, you might be thinking, that sounds simple. Anyone can do that. But here's the twist. Simplicity is deceptive. The human mind resists repetition. It craves novelty, distraction, stimulation. The idea of doing the same small act day after day without variation, without the immediate rush of reward, terrifies us. That is why most people cannot do it. They start a morning routine, a habit, a practice, and within a week, boredom and resistance break them. The monk, however, embraces the resistance. He knows that the mind is like a wild horse. It will kick, it will run, it will test your patience. And so he leans into it. He does the simple act, not because he feels like it, not because it is easy, but because he has chosen it, as the defining point of his day. The wild horse is still wild, but it begins to trust the rider. Discipline, in this sense, is not punishment. It is relationship. Imagine your mind as a room cluttered with furniture, papers, half-finished projects, memories, anxieties, and ambitions. Most people wander into this room and feel overwhelmed. They try to move 10 pieces at once and end up tripping over their own feet. The monk, instead, chooses one chair to adjust. He places it in its proper position. The room does not instantly become perfect, but a corner becomes clear, a path opens. And from that small clarity, everything else begins to organize itself naturally. This is the genius of the trick. By mastering one simple, concrete action, you are not just completing a task. You are rewiring your brain to see order in chaos, possibility in limitation, freedom within boundaries. Let's talk about the mechanism behind it, in a way that's almost invisible but profoundly powerful. When you commit to a single defining act each day, you activate what psychologists call keystone habits. These are habits that trigger a cascade of other behaviors, not because you force them, but because your environment and your mind begin to align. The monk does not wake up at 5 a.m. and then check off a list because he's trying to be good. He wakes up at 5 a.m. and the quiet, the stillness, the act of showing up itself begins to shape the rest of his day. Thoughts come and go like clouds across the sky. His commitment is the sun that does not waver. That sun illuminates decisions, shapes reactions, and radiates calm strength that others sense instinctively. By focusing on one act, he avoids the fragmentation that plagues most people. Multitasking, scattered attention, the endless pursuit of fleeting goals. Now, here's a question for you. What is the single small act that could define your day? Not what you should do, not what looks impressive to others, but the one action that, if completed with fidelity, would give your day meaning, order, and strength. The answer may surprise you. It may be as simple as sitting in silence for 10 minutes, as mundane as making your bed, as challenging as writing a sentence that captures your thoughts. The power is not in the act itself, it is in the fidelity, the consistency, the refusal to let the mind talk you out of it. When you begin this practice, you will notice a strange transformation. The little things, the distractions, the petty frustrations begin to lose their weight. You carry a quiet confidence, not loud, not showy, but deep and unwavering like the roots of an ancient tree. Let's consider the metaphor of the mountain path. Most people look at a mountain and see only the peak, the final destination. They feel overwhelmed, paralyzed, perhaps even resentful that they haven't arrived yet. The monk sees only the next step, the single stone beneath his foot, the rhythm of breathing, the motion of walking. That is his discipline trick. Total focus on the immediate, leaving the future to unfold naturally. There is a magic here that most people miss. By concentrating on the next stone, the mind does not wander into fear or doubt. By repeating this focus day after day, the monk's journey becomes effortless, even though he climbs the same mountain that terrifies the rest of the world. This is why most people cannot do it. They want the peak without the steps, the results without the process, the light without the darkness. And here's another layer. The monk's discipline is invisible but contagious. People sense it without understanding it. A calm mind, a committed presence, a body aligned with intention, these radiate outward. The monk does not seek approval, yet approval follows. This is the paradox. Discipline for its own sake, done consistently, produces results without force. The mind, like water, cannot be coerced, but it can be guided. One small stream directed faithfully can carve a canyon over time. Your single defining act is that stream. It is quiet, humble, almost imperceptible at first. Yet over months and years, it shapes your character, your relationships, your sense of purpose. Now you might ask, what about failure? What about days when you cannot complete your act? When the mind rebels and life distracts you, the monk has an answer for that too. He observes failure with equanimity. He does not beat himself up. He notes the fact, studies it, and begins again the next day. Here lies another reason most people cannot follow this trick. They fear imperfection. They demand that discipline be flawless, when in reality, discipline is not perfection. It is return. The act of returning, day after day, after distraction, after error, after exhaustion, is where true power lives. Every fall, every misstep is a teacher. Every return is a victory. The trick is not to be perfect. The trick is to persist consciously, faithfully, regardless of feelings, circumstance, or external chaos. Consider your mind as a garden. Most people scatter seeds in random soil, water irregularly, pull weeds haphazardly, and wonder why the harvest is weak. The monk plants one seed carefully, waters it consistently, removes the weeds methodically. At first, growth is invisible. Then slowly the plant emerges. Soon, a single act produces flowers, fruits, and even nourishment for the rest of the garden. The monk's discipline trick is not about speed or quantity. It is about depth and fidelity. It is about trusting that small, consistent actions yield monumental results, even if the world around you is in chaos. You might also notice something unexpected. When you commit to a single act, other distractions naturally fade. The noise of social media, the endless chatter in your head, the anxiety about tomorrow, all of it diminishes. The monk does not escape the world. He enters it more fully, more awake. His discipline does not restrict him, it liberates him. He has trained his mind to be present, and presence is the root of power. The single act is a beacon in the fog, a compass in confusion, a calm center in the storm. And here is the final lesson. Mastery is never about complexity. It is about devotion to the simple, the repeated, the foundational. Everything else grows from that. Now imagine your own life through this lens. What is your single defining act? What one thing done with unwavering commitment could change the rhythm of your day, your mind, your character? Perhaps it is meditation. Perhaps it is writing. Perhaps it is moving your body. Perhaps it is simply pausing, breathing, and observing before responding. The form does not matter. The fidelity does. The power is in the quiet, relentless consistency that most people are too weak or too distracted to maintain. You are capable of this. You are capable of the monk's discipline. You are capable of carving a path through chaos with nothing but a single, focused action repeated faithfully. Here's the twist that most people miss. Once you adopt this practice, you discover that life is not about controlling circumstances, achieving status, or chasing fleeting pleasures. Life is about aligning your mind with intention, your body with habit, your spirit with presence. Each day, that small act becomes a cornerstone. Each day, the mind, like a river, begins to flow more clearly. Each day, you become a little more uncheckable, a little more free, a little more alive. You begin to see the world not as a series of obstacles, but as a mirror reflecting your inner discipline back at you. And eventually, the cumulative effect is staggering. Confidence, clarity, serenity, and a sense of purpose that is unshakable because it does not depend on outcomes, praise, or circumstances. So, start small. Choose one defining act. Commit to it for one day, then the next, then the next. Observe the subtle transformation. The way your mind bends toward order, the way your decisions become easier, the way your presence grows stronger. This is not a promise of overnight success. It is a promise of slow, unstoppable change, like water shaping stone over centuries. Few people can do it because few people are willing to embrace the monotony, the resistance, the quiet, consistent fidelity. But you can. You can be the monk in your own life. You can carve your own clarity in a world designed to scatter attention. You can hold one small act like a lantern in the darkness and watch as it illuminates everything else. And finally, remember this. Discipline is not punishment. It is not about being rigid or joyless. It is about choosing a single small act and showing up faithfully day after day. Through resistance, distraction, and doubt, it is about teaching your mind to trust you. And through that trust, teaching yourself to move through life with strength, calm, and purpose. It is the simplest trick in the world, and yet the most powerful. The one act that can define your day, can define your life. Start today. Choose your one act, commit to it, and watch as everything begins to change. If this message resonated with you, if you feel the quiet spark of potential within, take a moment to reflect on the one action that could anchor your day. Share it in the comments below. I want to hear your defining acts. And if you want to continue exploring the inner strategies, the subtle habits, and the philosophical insights that transform ordinary lives into extraordinary journeys, hit that like button and subscribe to Echoes of Greatness. Together we can uncover the small daily truths that lead to remarkable change. The monk's discipline trick is simple, but it is not easy. Few can do it, but those who do change everything. Start now and become one of them.